Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my podcast, Everything, Anything, and Tea. This episode, I'm so excited because I'm here with Darion Philips from Fairfield, Alabama. That's so cool. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, of course, and we're zooming here to have this interview right quick. I am so excited because he's an upcoming actor, artist, everything, and I'm so glad that he's here with me. So let's go ahead and start off with like the first thing, of course, how I start all my episodes, the tea. So I have green tea. I add a little bit of ginger in it. It's just a go-to thing. It's very classic, very traditional. And I really wanted it. It's like what? It's 5 over here right now. It's in the afternoon. Afternoon tea, very nicely. What do you have, Darion?
Man, I got some green tea on the side of me, a little bottle of Lipton. And I might pour me some old school tea in a minute. You know what I'm saying? A little simple.
Go ahead. Actually, I haven't had like sweet tea in a while.
Oh, that's all I drank, sweet tea.
Really?
I have not had that in a bit. Maybe like last time I went to my grandma's house. So I'm gonna have to go back and get some more of her tea because she makes the best sweet tea ever. It's a down home type thing. But okay, no more talking about tea. Let's go ahead and start with this interview. Do you want to introduce yourself, Darion? Anything? Go ahead and just start off. Who are you? Who is Darion?
My name is Darion Philips. I'm from Fairfield, Alabama. I am an actor. I am a screenwriter, and I'm a filmmaker and a director. And right now, I'm currently working on 2 different projects. I'm working on my animated show that's being developed with Sony, and I'm currently finishing up with my film that I'm putting together, but I'm kind of doing like a little slow by steps. You know what I'm saying? Like going back, adding a little to the script, make sure I got certain locations handled too with that too. But currently with my animated show DP's World that I know is going to go crazy and take over. With that show, I'm being animated with Sony Animation Pictures right now. And basically, when that show airs, I'll be the youngest show creator in history, either at 17 or 18. Depends on how long it takes with the development process for the animation. But just know that animated show DP's World is dope, and it's kind of, I ain't gonna go too deep into it, but just know it's gonna kind of show the actual creative mind that I go in, from how deep that I play a part in my imagination, the way my mind runs, because I can be sitting up like in the classroom in school and literally it feel like I literally see giraffes and all type of just wondering stuff, just gaze off because I stay daydreaming a lot. So it's kind of more so like that, but y'all see that it's a pretty dope animated show.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. We're going to talk way more about that later. And you just answered the first 4 questions of the interview. I love that. I love that though. Okay, we're going to dig deeper into that because that sounds so exciting. I didn't know much about it, but the more you're saying it, Sony's projects.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That is literally just amazing. But
all right, let's go ahead and go to the second category, because that was the first category. Basically, it was just your work, what you're working on. Well, actually, I can ask just one thing. What work have you done in the past?
I acted in, I acted in 2 films so far. One currently is out right now on multiple streaming platforms. It's called Don't Blow My High. I started it as junior, and it's a film about basically 2 best friends. It was going to a 420 festival, but one of them ended up taking my mom's friend car to go to the festival. So me playing junior, I'm kind of third wheeling my mom and her friend, and they're on like a little chase. And it's currently streaming. Well, it's supposed to be on Amazon Prime, I believe, next week, but it's currently on Tubi and a streaming site called Momento, I believe. It's supposed to be on Tubi, Amazon Prime, and Momento streaming service called Momento is a new streaming service. But it's currently on Tubi and Memento right now, but it's supposed to be on Amazon Prime, I believe, either next week or the week after that. And then the other film I did, it was called The Normal Life, and it was talking about how a group of 5 teenage girls and boys, they all met up at a HBCU, which is based on a true story. And that'll be in theaters sometime next year, because they're working with, I believe, Alabama A&M. I think you heard them before. They're working with that college, and that's an HBCU, one of the most popular HBCU colleges, like in the world, well, in the United States. So I'm working with a film with that, and I'm playing Little Twiggy. So the fact that I'm playing Little Twiggy, I'm like, how I'm gonna put it? I'm like a younger version of the state of the person who's the main character. So I'm baby Twig. I'm showing little scenes of him when he's younger, from what he went through when his pops used to abuse him, which I got a chance to be big Twiggy, oldest Twig, who's 60 years old, who's kind of retelling his story. So it's kind of dope working with that too.
In 2 words, how would you describe your work?
My work, I look at myself more as a filmmaker than an actor. But when it comes to the acting part, as of right now, I plan on really only acting in films with big names in them, or films that I wrote. So any film that anyone see me act in, it have to have like a big name behind it or a big budget behind it. Like let's say a big name rapper or a singer or actor. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm more of a writer. You get where I'm coming from? So since it's more so like that, that's why I looked at into my work from the screenwriting part of view. I look at myself more so every project that have been developed right now, I try my best to go as deep as possible from the mental state. Like do research on the way from what sells, and sometimes I go back and do research on what doesn't sell, so I can be the first person in that particular genre to go crazy in box office. You know where I'm coming from? So, like going back to DP's world, with that particular project, when I call my projects, I try my best to go deep into it. So, with my work, how I describe my work is, I say huge in imagination, because I know when it comes to the audience, they want to see your project what's gonna make them locked into it. That's the reason why Jordan Peele, my idol, who inspired me to do
Yes, I was
everything.
about to say.
That's why I take a lot of effort in making sure that I inspire. So the way I describe my work is big on imagination, but at the same time entertaining. And I try my best to put together projects where all type of nationalities, races can all come together like a family when they watch it. One, I try to make sure it's big on imagination, and two, I try to make sure it sells for a global point of view to everyone.
Honestly, you're 17, right?
Yes, just turned
You
17.
just turned 17?
Yeah, just turned 17, October 11th.
Nice. For a 17-year-old, like, that is amazing. You don't see that. You don't see that. Okay, so that's the next category, too. Just diving into how you got into this, what sparked you to get into the film industry or want to start in the arts and everything, especially at your age and having these big goals. Where did they come from, basically? I just want to say, so far, like, everything that you said, I'm like, wow. This is like amazing because you don't see this, and I'm so glad that you're bringing it to the table. So first, question from that category, getting into the industry. What sparked you to get into film? This could be from age 5, 10, 15. Like, what was it that was like, yeah, I'm about to get into film. I'm about to create stuff. Like, what sparked you?
Okay, so honestly, so since I was in the third grade, I had this teacher. Her name is Miss Holston, and me and her is still close to this day. So we had this favorite show at the moment called The Walking Dead. So even with my mom, everyone stayed telling me, I promise you, my whole life all I heard was, yo, DP, Darion, you should be a film critic, a movie critic. Every movie we name, you seen it, man. You always have this opinion on this. You seen it every time anyone bring up any movie, you've seen it before, and you know how to have proper dialogue about it and give logical opinions about it. So me hearing that my whole life, I was like, I don't think I want to get paid to be a movie critic. I think I'd rather write my own films. So I was playing sports at the moment, so that's why I couldn't really lock in on it. You know, because I was big on sports. But as I got into the 8th grade, after my 8th grade basketball season, we ended up getting bounced out the playoffs because I ended up getting hurt. At the moment we was winning, and when I ended up getting hurt, the whole game just turned around and flipped and we ended up losing. Say it to my cat right there. So we ended up losing. We ended up losing. So basically, after we ended up losing that game, COVID ended up happening that same year. So I stopped getting taller. So I started around COVID time. I ended up getting into a deep mental, how I'm gonna put it, I ended up getting to a deep mindset where I kind of didn't want to be bothered with no one like that no more. It's like when COVID happened, you stuck in the house, and mentally, I don't know what it was, but mentally with COVID, it had everyone kind of iffy. So around
Yeah.
that time, I wasn't doing nothing but watching movies. So one day I ended up watching one film by Jordan Peele, which was Get Out. So after I watched that film, I said, you know what? This is dope. I kind of like this. I'm gonna get into the screenwriting business. So I end up writing my first script called Resolute, which we'll talk about later because I ain't done with the script because I ended up going to another script. But when I seen Get Out, the way that they had the film and how the target audience was for everyone, not a particular audience of people, it was so dope to me. So ever since then, I started writing scripts, doing research on how to be the best screenwriter, doing research on like, think about it, I'm in the 8th grade, like during COVID. So I was doing big research on how to basically what win awards, what doesn't win awards, what type of films do most actors accept to want to act in big names. And I was doing research on like basically what companies like when it comes to the screenwriting process. So after I seen Jordan Peele drop Get Out and end up winning an award for it, I ended up getting inspired to want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So as time progressed, I ended up getting more knowledge and knowledge and knowledge to where I ended up spiking up a little small deal with Sony Animation Pictures with DP's where so me watching Get Out kind of inspired me to want to have make my own film that I can show the audiences and make it where almost everyone will love it because it ain't really nobody who can really say Get Out was a bad film, even if you go back to the review.
Nobody can say that.
You know what I'm saying? Because it was made for the target was for almost everyone. It wasn't for a specific type.
Exactly. And that inspired you to make your films like that. Inspired you to make your films.
It inspired me.
Right. It would be cool. Jordan Peele sees this once you get big. He can look at this video. You inspired him. I love that movie so much. I just saw it literally like a month ago with my family. I don't know why I just saw it, but it is so good. My new favorite horror is psychological films more, and that's a psychological horror thing. And you can kind of like get what you were saying because it's really about the mindset and the film, the production of the film, the cuts and everything. Like that's if I were to start filming, I don't know if that's really for me to make my own films, but if that's what I did, I would definitely look at that and have them as an influence because oh my gosh, the pictures were amazing, everything about it. So I can totally see how that influenced you. So, did you do anything to like get you into the film industry before 8th grade, before COVID? Like, did you have like small little crafts going on and the side like that you wanted to do that had to do with film or had to do with the arts, like other than sports or anything?
Okay, so around that time, since the way sports was going, I was basically around that time I was watching a lot of different films to get the different methods. So as I was getting the methods and things of that nature, that's when I was using those methods to put together with the screenwriting because at the moment I wanted to write a script, but I never wrote one. So I was watching different films to understand which way I wanted to go by doing it with my first film that I actually write. So I was using a little different methods from watching different films, different horror films, suspense films, and things of that nature. So that's what kind of got me like motivated to actually, when it got time for me to actually go, boom, I'm picking up this pen, I'm finna type this script.
So, how would you compare your very first work to what you're working on now?
Since I take a lot of power in screenwriting, I'm gonna go with that side. So my very first script that I first wrote, I was trying to basically paint a picture that I had the vision for, but my imagination wasn't clicking as hard as I wanted it to with my very first script I wrote, which was the Resolute. So since my mind wasn't but I had the film pictured, but my imagination wasn't following what I had pictured. So when I was writing the script, it got to the point where I was frustrated and I was like done with the script in like 60 pages. So it was bad. Like it was to the point where I was just sitting back scratching my head. And as a screenwriter, you should never get that feeling.
And you didn't have that practice. It was one of your first things going on. I can compare that to my acting. Oh my lord. I was looking back at a whole bunch of auditions that I did before on my mom's phone. I was like, oh my. I was sitting there like a robot acting my script. It was horrible. I would love to like go back and redo the very first thing that I did. It was Deja for being Mary Jane. I just want to redo everything, redo Christmas at Graceland because it was like, what the heck is going on? So I completely understand what you're saying with the writer's block thing that you had, and I assume you are a lot better than how you were before. So like, what kind of changed for you other than like, getting the information, doing more research and stuff like that? Like, what did you implement or what did you tell yourself when the going got a little rough or when you just wanted to quit?
Man, when I wanted to quit, and around that time when I first wrote my first script and how horrible the script wasn't horrible. It just I got writer's block. It was just bad. Mentally, I was gonna go, my head was gonna explode. So one thing I was telling myself at that moment, that's around the time I was engaging with people. Like before I ended up getting all my social media followers, I was reaching out to a lot of big names and things like that. So a lot of big names, and I have a friend who has one of the biggest boxing training, I guess, companies, you can put it that way. So I have a lot of people that want to see me win. So at that moment, I tell myself every time when I get to that point where I feel like I want to quit, I be like, dude, you got all these people who take their time out their day to check on you, to make sure you get to where you need to get to. You want to win, this, that, third. You give up on these people, you wasting their time. And the people who didn't believe you, you're going to make them feel like they was right from not believing you. So the people is the reason why I did not give up, honestly. And the fans that I have, you know what I'm saying? So in my mind, I was like, if I give up right now, I'm letting everybody down. The people who didn't believe in me, boom, they is right. They made their point. If I gave up, simple like that. So that's what keep me going on, a little motivation.
And that's how I feel every time that I like, oh my god, I have another audition. Or when you're auditioning, you're gonna get 100 times more rejections than exceptions. And every time I go like see my family, they're like, oh, so what else have you done? What are you working on and stuff like that? Of course, I feel kind of like, well, nothing at the moment, but just to know that they're over there checking on me, it makes me just feel so good. It makes me feel so loved. So I completely understand that. I love that answer. Okay, going back on the nitty-gritty of your work that you're working on now and what you've worked on in the past, what was the hardest thing that you have worked on? It could have been what you're saying right there with the writer's block or anything else. The most meaningful thing that you've worked on or are working on now, and the one that you are most proud of.
Okay, so the hardest thing I worked on was Resolute, which was my first script. The most meaningful thing that I worked on was Resolute. That was the most meaningful, despite it being the hardest. Out of all, I wrote 3 scripts so far, and I'm working on a 4th one, which is a slap. It sells a lot, especially during Halloween when it comes to costumes, merchandise, things of that nature. And with that one, with me saying that was the hardest, but that was most meaningful because the picture that I was trying to paint with that particular script, it's a masterpiece. And the most proud of script I got, it's DP's World off the rip. The imagination and what goes into that, It
I
is
can
so
see
I'm
that.
so ready for it to be done developing so everyone can watch it. That show is finna go crazy. It's finna have all the little kids, 18 going crazy. That show is so dope because I watch a lot of animated shows just before I start writing DP's World. And the way that I put that show together from imagination point of view and things of that nature is gonna inspire a lot of people that's young, like kids wise, and it's gonna keep a lot of people going that's older. Like a 40-year-old woman can sit there and watch that show and get motivated to keep pushing for her kids and for herself. So I did my with that particular show. That show is gonna touch some people. It's gonna touch a lot of people, literally. And that show
Goosebumps.
deeper is deep. It's deeper than what it's a deep show. Like, cause that show is all mental. It's the way I pursue life. But I just mix it in with a little entertainment. So that show is deep, deep, like from an imagination level. So
Oh my.
Right. I can't wait. I'm so excited about that. I have so many questions like lined up. So going into the second to last category, this is deeper questions, like going more into the mentality of being in the film industry, doing everything that you're doing right now. So from the beginning of when you started to now, how you are now, what you're doing, what you're working on now, what is the hardest thing that you have found about being in the film industry?
rejection. That's the
That's
hardest thing.
big one.
I sent DP's World off a good, I say about a good I say about a good 10 times. A good 10 times. It took me 10, it took me 10 no's before I actually got a yes. Then the funny part is Nickelodeon is currently reading DP's World. So the fact of that I currently have Sony trying to develop DP's World, and I currently got Nickelodeon reading DP's
Reading
World
it.
to break under there because Sony, they're not gonna do nothing but just develop it and try to do nothing but sell it to a Nickelodeon or Disney. You know what I'm saying? So the fact I got Nickelodeon reading it, and it's been what 6 weeks. They told me I get my reply in 8 weeks. So the fact that I got so many rejections, because when I first found out the tools of submitting it to these big companies, I was like, okay, cool, boom, I'm finna get on, give me a yes real quick, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm a big positive person. And when I got that, no, no, currently not right for our slate right now. No, we like it, but we currently have a lot of other projects going on right now, and we feel like it's just currently not right for our slate. I said, no. It got to the point my mom was calling me. She was like, yo, Daria, how did they feel about the script? Did they like it? They didn't like it? Well, I said, oh my, they ain't tell me yet. I'm still waiting on them. I'm like, cause it was hurting me so bad. Like I was like, oh my goodness, I'm doing something right? I'm doing something wrong, but not realizing you can't. What put it this way, you can't. Everyone ain't gonna see the vision. You gotta think about it. Star Wars is one of the best, if not franchises ever. But it took Star Wars 10 times more no's than it took DP's World.
Yeah.
So that's motivation to me because it took Star Wars 20 no's before they got a yes, and they is a $1 billion franchise to this day. Halloween, you see everybody with Star Wars, they got one of the best selling merchandises. But the point is, everybody ain't gonna see the vision. But whoever do see the vision, you got to make sure that you don't waste their time for believing in you. It goes back to me, can't give up because I got people believing in me.
Yeah, you pretty much just summed up everything that I was gonna say with this question because I was starting off like around 8 with my acting and I cried. I did when I got rejected so many times, but I still haven't like made my huge break yet, but with the success that I have had, I just count it as this huge blessing because it took me a while. It's still gonna take me just a little bit to get there, but once it's like there, like all the no's, it really doesn't matter at this point. Like, while you're doing it, you're like, it does matter. I'm sitting here crying right now because I just got rejected. But at the end of the day, once you get that, like, it doesn't matter what they said. You said, oh, we're working on other projects right now. Because once you actually get it, working with Sony, Nickelodeon read your film, like, that is amazing. So it just doesn't, it really just doesn't matter. So I'm really glad that you said that because that is definitely a big thing for me. I'm still going through it, still going through some big rejection with some big auditions. But, I just got to hold my head high because I know you have to know in your heart that that big break is coming. Like during your rejections, you got to know that you have to have faith that, something big is going to come. Because if you lose that faith, I mean, you're just giving that energy out.
You always gotta have that mentality where, despite these people saying no, you got to give your 100% best to prove
Exactly.
them wrong when the people who give you the opportunity give the opportunity. That's the mindset I always kept. 199 people can tell me no for any script I write, but if that one specific company give me a yes, I'm gonna have to go completely in for that particular script so I can prove the other people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you've made it to where Sony is doing some big things with your project, Nickelodeon is reading it, what were some significant sacrifices you have made to get to this?
I had to give up on three specific things that's huge to me. I had to give up on sports, which was a big bummer. I had to give up on friends. I went from being a guy who you see with about 50 people behind them walking through the school to a guy who you see with one person walking through school. The sacrifice, I went so deep into sacrificing where I left my school that I've been in. I'm from Fairfield. I left Fairfield that I've been in since second grade. So I ended up transferring to a new school to make sure my mind be set in the right place, won't have no negativity. So one, I lost all my closest friends trying to get to my goal. And I end up basically having to change my whole persona, the way I act and talk. So it was that I sacrificed having fun. I don't go to parties at all. And like literally no parties at all. I had to sacrifice that. Then I turned around and my relationship when it comes to with friends and family members, things of that nature, I do not go out with my family members at all. Unless it's business,
Wow.
I literally stay in the house and be watching some film and working on how to become the best screenwriter I can possibly be. So with that being said, it's a lot that goes into that. And another thing is I sacrificed it, me not playing video games no more at all no more. Like it's literally like, and that's a bummer when it comes to a dude growing up. No, you cut off all your friends, not all of them, but I cut it off almost most of all my friends because all of them ain't see the vision I had. So of course I had to get you away from me and see the vision. I turned around, I switched the schools as another sacrifice. Then I turned around and I stopped playing sports. So that was three. So it was like, ooh, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
hmm And the blessing part of it is those friends that stick around with you, the family members you hang out with now, everything that you're doing, the fact that they stuck with you, like that is a blessing to have even one person to stay with you through all of that. Cutting off, you're gonna cut off a lot of people going through it. I know I have. I definitely have. I guess for me, the biggest sacrifice is going into online school for myself. And even with that, like I cut off friends because simply because I don't see them anymore, simply because they kind of held me down going up because they're like, okay, I understand that you're trying to be a famous actress, but like, are you absolutely sure about that though? uh, the hardest thing for me was with relationships anyways was finding the people who actually truly were by my side and those who faked or those who want to be by my side because they're like, okay, she's gonna be famous, so like I can be famous like next to her because I'm friends with her. That was the biggest thing for me, trying to, wedge out the differences between the people who actually do support me, those who are just haters just to be haters, and those who are just fake as heck. So for the last part of this category, Darion, you can just go ahead and say whatever you want to end that. Any conclusion statements for this? It's just deeper questions, anything mentalities that go into being in the film industry, because I know it is a lot. You have the floor.
One of the deepest things I can tell the audience and just people in general when it comes to being in the film industry or just in general, when it comes to anything you're doing, especially when it comes to something that a billion other people are doing, when you try to get in that category where you're trying to impress and be better than the other group of people doing the same thing who's competing for the same spot you're trying to get, I think the biggest thing that goes into that is not looking at how many people sent their script or how many people auditioned for that role or how many people that tried out for that sport. You never look at how many people auditioned, tried out, or your competition, because you had a certain mindset and you look at it from that particular perspective, you are going to fail automatically. In my mind, I never put in my mind that, oh my God, it's a billion other people sending scripts. One of them might be better than me. I never put that in my mind. I always had the mindset, well, boom, I send this in, it's either me and them in the room, they like it. If they don't, I can work hard and get better at it. I never had that mindset where, well, oh, they might accept Jordan Peele's script over mine, or they might want to accept Ice Cube's. No, I feel like me personally, from what I do, I feel like you made me get in a competition with any other filmmaker or writer, and you put me in a room with someone who never heard of that person and they ain't never heard of the person's success they had in their body of work, I feel like my script will beat their script, as long as the person don't not know who they is. You know what I'm saying? It kind of put both of us in the fair bracket. Well, boom, you got two people who do not know who they is, but you just reading a piece of paper out and you're not saying who wrote what. You know what I'm saying? I thought you put me in that category with any screenwriter, I feel like I can beat them. 9 out of 10. That's just the mindset I have. Because I have the mindset I be trying to win everything I do. Literally. Like I be going hard. I feel like anybody can achieve any single thing in the world. But if you had that mentality where you want to be like everybody else, you don't want to put the extra work in. I ain't saying this like from a motivational point of view. I'm saying this from a realistic point of view. If you play sports and you want to get you out to the NBA, you can't be laying down on a Sunday morning, chilling, not realizing that even though I said you don't worry about what the next person doing, you focus on you, but you still got to understand that you have to work when nobody else is working. So if I'm sitting down, I thought y'all did an interview with you. If I sit down and just scrolling through Instagram, how would I be able to put together one of the best sinister slasher films or franchises of all time if I'm just sitting around doing nothing?
Man, I wish you were in my last podcast episode of How to Get Out of Your Own Way, because basically everything that you just said, what was that, 3 minutes? That literally just summed up everything that I said in my 40-minute episode. Man, I wish you were right there. Okay, last category, then we're going to wrap this up. This is a little lengthy, but that is okay because I absolutely adore everything that we have said in this episode. I'm so excited to release it. Next category is questions for the future. Basically, we're just going to go over your goals of what you're working on now and where you see yourself in the future. What are 3 major goals for you in the future? Anything.
One of my goals is to win an Oscar on the films that I wrote. My second goal is to have the actors on the films that I wrote win awards and become wealthy and most known for my project that I wrote that they acted in from my vision and my perspective of the world. My third goal was to basically inspire the world and the kids that's younger than me, older, or the grown-ups to understand the simple fact of whatever that you can possibly do, because I am an African American, and as long as some big name stars, 10-year-old, 5-year-old son also happen to write a script or something, I'd be the youngest show creator in history. But that's a lot said from a guy who currently growing up, mind state had to change to get to that point. So my third goal was to inspire the world and kind of make someone day better in the best way I possibly can. Like if you're going through something, I want you to be able to turn on DP's or My Baby's Justice or the Tales of the Butcher to kind of make you feel better and make you just get a peace of mind. So that's my third goal.
I already know I'll be cheering on for you. And again, that was the majority of questions for that category. I love that. Okay, well, the last thing that I wanted to say was just to go over DP's world, everything that has to do with that. Okay, first things first, where do you want it to be airing on?
Me personally, my personal goal is for DP's World to be airing on either Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network. I'm cool with it being on a streaming service like Netflix or Paramount, but I would love to be on Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon. Because simple fact, if I can say, boom, I grew up watching those stations. You know, because back then we had streaming service, we had either Channel 62, 44, 18. So I would love for it to be on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network because I can say, oh, I grew up watching this and that. And my show is currently on that platform now. So that's what I would love DP's work to be on.
Okay, so how do you like see the animation going? Like 3D animated, 2D? Did you make a vision board of how you want it to look? Or like any other examples that you've been watching as a kid? Like what is the inspiration in design wise?
I believe I went with mixed media on the DP's world, where it kind of like they're currently like it's kind of like how Family Guy looks somewhat. And no, the show called Cruise. I believe you heard of that movie before.
Cruise.
Yeah, it was kind of looking like that. So I envisioned it looking like that on the animation side because I could have had DP World in live action, but I chose to do it in animation because I can dig deeper with my creativity from the way I persuade everything through imagination, which will look better on animation than it will with live action. Cause I got some wild stuff in DP's world, like Jurassic stuff, and it's kind of cheaper on budget too, if you did it through animation, because of the simple fact of it's animated. When it comes to the way DP world is set up, it's so much wild, crazy stuff in there to where it'll take a lot of green screen animals, just some wild stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot that goes into that.
When I initially thought of it, I immediately thought of Amazing Girl the Gumball because
Yeah, I like that.
yeah, and how colorful it is. It's definitely gonna be a colorful show, I think, and that is exciting. I'm really excited to see that. Okay, I don't want to ask too many questions about it because I want to see more when it gets developed, and I'm so excited for you. I know you are. Wait. I did not ask this. How long did it take to write like the introduction to your film and everything? Like, how long on a span do you think that this has taken you to get to where you are now?
Okay, so honestly, like I'm gonna be honest, 100% realistic with you. It took me 20 minutes to write DP's work.
No way.
Guess why? So originally, I had this buddy named Jay who was an actor. So originally with DP's world, from the way it was going, he's an actor. He's gonna be on you're gonna see him on most of my projects, things of that nature that I write as live action, not animated. But basically, from the process that it went, we received a no from Sony with an animated show called DP and J. They loved the show, but they said the show ideal was kind of too close to other shows. They kind of had the same two family members type plot line, like beads and buff heads, stuff like that. So a lot of shows had kind of the same two to three people, friends or family members living with each other type scenario. So they liked the script, but they said since it was so many, that was kind of like that, like the Rick and Morty, things of that nature. They said that they was kind of scared to take a risk on DP and J because of some fact it was a lot of shows that was successful that was kind of headed that towards that way, but it was a lot of shows that flopped that was headed towards that way. Because why would you watch that particular show if you got another show that's on like
That's
this
like the exact same.
Yeah, that's on this 12 season that's about the same. So after they told me no, the guy, that was my first no. Like I think that was like, no, that was my first no with animated show. So the guy, he was like, well, if you have any other scripts or whatever, just let me know. So after I received it, no, I was like, yeah, I got something else. He said, okay, what his name is. I just looked in the sky. I saw DP's where. So he was like, okay. He said, send me the script and we're gonna review it. Think about it, this is a guy from Sony. Man, I got down that script in like 30 minutes because my mom always told me, like my production company, it's called DP's Productions, but the key art for it is an animated person with their head exploding because I'm a overthinker. So it kind of summed up DP's world. Like I said, DP's world, it went like this when I was writing it because I seen the vision. It's like whole time I was writing, I was really just daydreaming. And got that time the script was done, I woke up out of my daydream and I just looked at my phone. I said, well, dang. So it really took me like, I believe a good little 20 minutes to write that because my mind just for the little pilot. So it was wild.
That's how
Literally.
you know it's gonna be good.
You know what I'm saying? So the process with DP's where I ain't gonna lie, it was hard. Because I had to switch DP's where originally DP's where it was more for an MA audience originally.
Whoa, that's a big difference.
Yeah. So I had to look at it from a point of view of if I can get an audience of kids and older people, I will sell more than the guy who's really pushing the audience for 15 and up. So it kind of went like that. And it was stressful. Like stressful.
Man. Okay, I'm still on the fact that it took you 20 minutes to write that and get it to them. Sony. So this is the final question. What do you want to say to anyone and everyone who is wanting to get into the film or arts but doesn't know where to start?
Okay, so basically what I'll say is when you write your script, do not take 20 minutes to write it. I mean, what I did, I pulled off a miracle, honestly.
You did.
I pulled off a miracle, but do not take 20 minutes to write it. And if you ain't got nobody who's waiting on you, who already paid you money for the script, please take your time and enjoy life and watch a lot of other shows that was not successful. Always watch the ones that wasn't successful first, but that was out. Then watch the ones that was successful because a lot of times people, they try to do too much. Oh, Rick and Morty successful, so I'm gonna make a show just like it.
Just like it, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not realizing these people are gonna see that and they're gonna think that you're plagiarizing. Yeah, plagiarizing. So my biggest thing to say is when you write, I say give it a month. Always relook back at it because it's never enough dialogue and it's never too good of dialogue where you just write it and boom, it's just good like that. Always go back and after you done with that script, go back again and rewrite it to make sure it's perfect. And another thing I say is make sure that you get representation because people are not taking unsolicited material. I ain't even gonna waste your time. You get a company to read your work and you don't have any representation, you just really wasted your time writing a script. Representation is the number one thing with these companies because the way the industry is at this point, we see a lot of films and shows that people just do not watch, but it's been developed. A lot of shows being developed right now that people do not even watch because of the fact that the industry became too much of buddy buddy. So we'll have a person who's close with another executive who will just gonna get a guy a nod to write a show, and the guy keep rewriting shows after having one hit. Since they had that one hit, the executives feel like they can keep making hits after making 14 shows that failed. They'll keep on giving them the pass because they have relationships with them. So one thing I can say is get representation. And when you get that chance after putting a lot of work into that script, make sure that you give it your all and make sure it be something that's sellable. Because if it's sellable, then I can guarantee you got you a good little 10 extra projects because the way the business work, people are out, these executives are out to work with the same show creator or filmmaker over and over again instead of find a new face that they got to deal with who they don't have a relationship with. Because at this point, the industry is more so who you know and how close your relationship is with them. So it's kind of hard to really get in when you're a new face, but the like I put that work in, and when you do impress them, because it's gonna take ain't nobody. I don't think it ain't a single screenwriter in history who just went straight off 1-0 when it comes to getting their projects off for their first particular time. So, and the people who did go 1-0 when they sent their first project in, they got a yes. I guarantee you it was not successful because all the successful people who screenwrite got turned down multiple times because their idea was so off the rip that these people never heard of the they don't even know they want to take a chance on it because nobody ever did it before. And a lot of people fail. Don't be the person who write a script trying to sample off another show because you're gonna basically get a no, or if you get a yes, if it don't be a hit off the rip, they not calling you back to write nothing else because you sampled it and you failed at it. So please write the most unique thing possible because it's best to get a no because someone is scared to take a chance on something that no one have never wrote before with that idea instead of being the person who write a show that was sampled by another hit show and then now your show out and then now nobody watching it. Boom, now you killed your whole career off because they gave you a shot and you did not sell and meet the expectations because you got to think about it's still a business. They paying hundreds of $1,000s to make sure that they make millions, and if you can't do that, they're not calling you back, especially for a first time. So I say make the most of that opportunity.
So this has been a wonderful interview so far, Darion. I'm really, really excited for you. It's just really, really good. I am so excited to put this out. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to end with asking you to say anything that you want to wrap it up, any conclusion statement for the whole interview, this 40-minute interview. So anything that you want to say, go ahead and say. You got the floor.
I got you. First of all, y'all have my Instagram and Darion_BSK.
Oh yeah, I was about to get you. I was about to do that last.
Yeah. And second of all, one thing I can say is when anything that's dealing with a business, you gotta put yourself in other people's shoes, whether it's either sports or the entertainment industry or anything you're doing, even if it's with high school, let's say with high school sports, if it's high school sports, boom. If you think these coaches supposed to just put you on the team just because you is you and you go out there and they lose games, you have to put yourself in that coach predicament that he can get fired. Because even with high school sports, don't think it's not a big deal. It's still a business. So if you don't prepare yourself for things and think everything supposed to just happen to you because you is you, and you is your life, and you determined to try out for that team or send an audition in or send that screenplay in, always keep in mind the person who is handling that, who has the authority over you, because everyone who has authority over somebody has authority over them. So just keep in mind that almost everything in this life span is a business. So one thing I can say is always work harder than everybody else. You work harder than everybody else, you'll find a way to be successful. Even if you're a rapper, let's say you're a rapper and you 40 years old and you still rapping, and you trying to get signed, still trying to hit 1,000,000 views. Just because you ain't hit 1,000,000 views that particular day don't mean you might not be winning the next particular day. But it all go down to how dedicated you is. Because all the people who took a minute to hit their star, to hit that star status, it was a lot of dedication that goes into that. I just never believed in the fact of when people say, oh, if you put your mind to something, you can get there. That's not the case all the time. You have to actually work hard. You can go to a gym every single day and just shoot a couple shots and then leave and say you put your mind to it. That's not how it works. You got to go out there and get drills in. If you don't get drills in and try to perfect whatever you're doing, you ain't finna be the best at it. And I don't know how everyone else think, but me personally, everything I do, I want to be the best in it, just off the rip, like off the rip. And one of the biggest tips in life to be the best at anything is off the rip to think that you the best at it. Never need no one else to say you the best or get an opinion on you, because everything in this world is opinionated. You might not like, someone might not like DP World, but someone else might do like DP World. But regardless, if DP put the work in for DP's world, and I feel like that I gave the masterpiece. It don't matter if it's 1,000,000,000 people in the world who say they love it, DP still gonna feel the same way about DP's world. If it's 1,000,000,000 people in the world that say they do not like it, DP still gonna feel the same way about DP's world. So if you had a mind state where someone else can give an opinion on something and it can affect you to where you don't want to work as hard on what you're doing, you're not gonna win at all. That's like, it's just simple as that. If a coach tell you you're not good enough to be on his team, don't pout, don't cry about it. Go get some trainers, work hard, do what you gotta do, and go join another team that plays the team that the coach told you that you ain't gonna get in for, and go out there and prove that coach wrong. That's what I always stood on. I always stood on things of that nature. I always prove the next person wrong, but never give in to no one's opinion. But if they do give an opinion and it affects you that bad, don't make it bring you down. Just go out there and show out in front of someone else. But work hard so you be able to show out in front of someone else. And then have the other person sitting back wondering and thinking about how they should have gave a chance. I gave you a chance.
Yeah.
I was watching the interview day before yesterday with DJ Khaled, how he was talking about how the slogan that he made God did for his hit song, it was coming from the simple fact of how many people passed up on him. And he said that he always gave everyone who he was in the room with respect, because you never know who you're in front of talking to. I can be in front of Madison right now talking to her, and I'm going to always give her and anyone else respect, because Madison might be a 10-time, 20-time Oscar winner in the future. But just because, let's say, boom, just because I don't see that in Madison, or I do see that in Madison, I still have to give Madison respect, because anything can happen in the future. Madison can be the biggest out right now, and someone else might not think that, but she can still be the biggest out. That's why you gotta give everyone their respect. You don't never know who you talking to. Literally, you don't never know what the future holds. It's more rappers the rappers who sold the most albums got turned down the most because they ain't got their respect. I always give everyone their respect you talking to. Someone come up to you right now and say they're a rapper, give them their respect. They might be bigger than Tupac. Give everyone their respect. So while I look at it, never sleep on anyone, give everyone their respect, and be a fan of anyone who gotta go. Cause you be a fan of anyone who gotta go, them reaching their goal can inspire you even more and more to want to get to your goal. So I think that's about it all I had to say.
During it, like when you were talking, just wanted to add one more thing, is to accept growth in what you're doing. Never have the mentality of, well, I'm gonna stay in this mindset. I'm gonna stay like this because, I mean, I might be getting rejected at every single thing that I'm doing, but I'm gonna stay like this right here and just not wanting to accept like critiques that will actually make you a better person at your craft.
Yeah. That's what that I tried. That's what that I should have put in that too. That's what I tried to put in there.
Yeah.
You got the negative critiques and the positive critiques, but at the same time, with the positive and the negatives, regardless, when it comes to opinion, you still have to push forward, regardless of the opinion.
Yeah, and so I
The
completely agree.
assistant from Sony, he gave me the best critique of. He didn't have to give me this prop. One thing he said, DP, when you run your script, that was the first one, right? When it was MA.
Mhm.
So he said, DP, when you send, he said, I got you a little tip. When you send the script off to whoever, do not put full lyrics in there. Put like 2-3 words with the lyrics in there, like the chorus, and go from there. So what I did was I went back to my script. I took that out and added more kid-friendly stuff in there, like kid-friendly, like to like have. Well, I found that was best. I was told from a critique to make it where it's young age and adults watch it instead of having a particular age group. That's what made me go back.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that made sense. And then I was told that when you write a script, you always gotta take and consult who gets butthurt about what. So I went back and I took kind of certain jokes out to make sure that it be for everyone.
It actually matches it. Cause like imagine if you never did that. And then you definitely would have got rejected even more because especially if you're giving it to Cartoon Network and stuff, like they're not gonna take that. They're not gonna take it. So yeah, definitely everything you said, and then the growth, accepting growth.
So that was the podcast episode, everybody.
Woohoo. We're gonna
end with a quick thing. Darion, where can we find you on social media?
Y'all can find me on Instagram at Darion_BASK. Social media Darion_BASK, and y'all can find me on Facebook at DPsY. It's DP and then WHY. So y'all can find me on either of those two.
Alright. And then you can find me on Instagram at Madison Alsobrook, Spotify, Everything Anything in T, and YouTube, Everything Anything in T as well. Alright. Okay, now we always end with something, so you gotta get your mug. You got your mug?
I got the cup on me. I ain't got the mug on.
Okay, sweet tea. Okay. Get your cup of sweet tea.